Hello. It's going to be a rather straightforward episode of National Divorce. I didn't even want to do this show. One of the lessons that we learn in activism is that drama is the opposite of activism. If you're doing drama, you're not doing activism. And so dealing with he said or she said or somebody did something nasty or this or that is a distraction from activism. And what you can tell is people who do a lot of drama and say a lot of dramatic things and always seem to get in fights and stuff are not a friend to activists. They are a distraction. And so if you're in activism or you work with other activists and you always see the person who always seems to be causing drama and causing a stink and saying things that everybody's got to stop what they're doing and talk about, that person is an enemy to your movement because they are only there to distract you. So I wanted to say that before we spent time on this. I like focusing on CalExit. I don't even like doing this dramatic stuff, but sometimes we have to knock it out just to get it done. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to show you all of the nasty, racist, bigoted, homophobic, insurrectionist, white supremacist supporting statements made by Louis Marineilli. Now, Louis Marineilli gave up control of the Yes California Twitter and Facebook pages. Then he lied to us and hacked back into the pages, ripped all of our posts down, and started to post up things that are completely out of line with California values. So we wanted to show that to you, and we wanted to prove that to you. Currently, the Yes California Facebook and the Yes California Twitter page are not under the control of Yes California CalExit. They're under the control of a man who's actively under federal investigation for Russian spying. No, I'm not joking. We'll walk you through all the details in just a second. This should knock your socks off, promise. Currently, Louis Marineilli was one of 4 or 5 people, along with myself, who founded Sovereign California in 2014, 2015. And then moved on to found Yes California. He was always one of many leaders. He didn't invent things like the ballot initiative. That came from Bart. Or the suggestion of embassies. That came from Mike. Or the idea that you might even want to look into the ballot measure. That came from David. A lot of the people around him. Recently, he's tried to say that he was pushed out of the Facebook and Twitter pages by Yes California, and he's rightfully taken them over. That is a complete lie. So Louis agreed to give up those pages. Then he lied to Jason and myself and the rest of Yes California CalExit Congress. Then he hacked back into those pages, removed all of our posts, and then put his own racist, homophobic posts in, and then said he was the rightful owner of it. So he's lying to everybody. He's gaslighting everybody. And we're going to show you how that works. So let's just get right into the material. Who is Louis Marineilli and what is he doing at this moment? So this is the Yes California Facebook page. It is no longer under my control or Jason's control. It's where a lot of people want to be part of Yes California Independence, but they don't get to be because it's now under the control of Louis. How can you tell? Well, most of the posts are about how I suck. So if you look at the posts, it's a lot of posts about how I'm horrible and I'm just not a good leader. And I kind of see there's another one. There's another one. Let's see here. There should be another one coming up. There's another one. So it's kind of a dead giveaway because a CalExit page typically would be about things about California, not how one person sucks. So he took over the page. He's not putting up material that really fits with California. It's more like slams on me and then links to his own channel. So there's not really like a lot of material there. Here's the Twitter page, the California CalExit campaign founded by @Louis Marineilli. So he took that over. So he tricked Jason and I and then hacked back into this page and took it over after he gave it up. And then he tricked Jason and I and hacked back into this page. So we don't currently own these. They were hacked and now are controlled by a guy who's under active federal investigation for spying. Let me show you that. This is Business Insider. Leading California secession advocate got funding and direction from Russian intelligence agents, the U.S. government alleges, August 2nd. So who is the person the Russian government controlled? Well, according to this article, and I'm not saying it, it's Louis Marineilli. And he is under active federal investigation by the FBI for being a spy and working for dissolution and division in America. And he worked with this guy. At least that's what's claimed. I also want to point out this. Now, the good news is that nobody in CalExit listens to Louis, buys what he says, or will have anything to do with him. This is a new documentary by Warner Brothers Music. It's very big. CNN copied it. So CNN saw this documentary and then did one of their own. This documentary is everywhere. Great production value, great storytelling. Love it. And it makes it also very clear that no one in the movement wants Louis around or has anything to do with him. That was me. I said it. Now let's go to Theo Slater of the California National Party, the other major CalExit group. Not as big as Yes California, but still decently sized. Let's take a look at what he had to say. So that's Theo Slater, the California National Party. And then you heard Marcus Ruiz Evans from Yes California CalExit. I also started the entire movement. So Louis was not the founder. You can date it to California's Next Century in 2012, and then the article by Tom Elias in 2013, which was the first book and the first serious news article about California independence. Now we have this documentary, which talks from the CNP and Yes California, and have the leaders of both of us saying we want nothing to do with Louis at all. That documentary is everywhere, and it makes it very clear that he has nothing to do with this movement and nobody wants to work with him. But let me show you a couple other things. When Louis took over the pages, this is mostly why I wanted to do the video. Here's some of the things he said. He did give up control of the pages, and now he's lying and acting like it never happened. He also said there's too many black people on the Supreme Court. So if you're black, get ready for some racism. He also said transgender people bring discrimination on themselves. Yes, if you are LGBTQ, he's saying you have it coming. Louis also said January 6th was a good thing, a heroic event. Yes, insurrection and violent overthrow of the government. Louis also said that white supremacists shooting people was a good thing. Thought it was a fair day in justice. Louis also said that CalExit means people hate California and want to leave it rather than people want to embrace California. Louis also said that he's a Trump loyalist. And when he recently told us, well, he has historically told us that he only voted for Trump because he thought Trump would push CalExit secession. Supposedly he was lying to us this whole time. He was a hardcore Trump supporter. So those are the things I'm going to prove to you. And let's show that right now. These are posts made by Louis Marineilli when he took over the Yes California Facebook and Twitter page. I'll show it to you now. So let's go to the beginning. So this is when Louis ended his involvement. You can see here's us when we were in charge. To be clear, for those who have asked, Louis has relinquished control of Yes California and its media pages and such. He has no further access and stated he has no intent to do anything with them. That's true. He said he had no intent. Here's a conversation between Jason and Louis before the indictment came out, when we were trying to be done with him over the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. Okay, I will gladly work hardcore only on the independency candidacy in our history. Okay, sounds good, says Lewis. Hey, Lewis, whatever date and time works best for you to do the Twitter switch over, just let me know. Hey there, Lewis. Marcus called me up and said you may be up right now. Try to do the Twitter switch over. Then we also made this tweet. To be clear, for those who have asked, Lewis has relinquished control of all Yes California, its media pages and such. He has no further access to them and stated he has no intent to do them. So this is where we made the statements. And here's Lewis working with Jason to give him access to the Twitter page. That's why he's talking with him. Here's January 6th, where Lewis said he's quitting CalExit. So January 6th, while the hashtag CalExit campaign is over, together with the California Independence Movement I launched in 2014, any future effort to that end ought to read this first. So that's Lewis, January 6th, saying CalExit campaign's over. He's quitting CalExit. Now, here's an email he sent to me on May 17th. Marcus, I'll continue to write about politics on my blog, and I'm finished with political activism, and instead I am re-enlisting in the U.S. Army, so I will have no use for the Yes California social media platforms that sit idle. If you would like them, let me know, and I will transfer them to you. I'm talking about the Facebook and Twitter accounts. Once you have them, you can block me again if you want. If you don't want them, simply do not reply. So there's Lewis, May 17th, in an email entitled, Marcus, I'm re-enlisting into the Army, where he says, I'm done. I don't want the platforms, and I'll hand them back over to you. Now he's saying he never did that. We kicked him out, and he rightfully took over. So he says he quit CalExit January 6th. He sent this email here on May 17th. He's acting like these two things never happened. Also on January 15th, another post where he says he's quitting CalExit, his decision to end. Now he's saying he never did that. Here's another comment between Jason and Lewis. There's Lewis's face. Lewis, you should, but the code is not attached to the number. It's attached to Duo application app. Oh, okay, well, I'll have to get that. Thank you, by the way. Then you have to input the login information to app to the Twitter account. So this is Lewis clearly walking Jason through getting access to the Twitter account. Giving him access, not a hostile takeover. There was another note that we made after he did that, where we said that we were going to we took over control of the page and that he was gone. Then he tricked us and rehacked it. Okay. Here's where he said CalExit means hating California. December 27th, 2021. Lewis said CalExit is more of a hashtag representing the act of moving out of California to go live in a red state like the CalExit founder is doing, referring to himself. So CalExit is not about California leaving America because our values are better. It's about California sucks and leaving California to go to an awesome red state, which is the total opposite of what CalExit means here. It is insulting to all Californians. That was written by Lewis on December 27th, 2021. There it is. 2,000 people saw it. Okay. Here's where Lewis explains how he hates transgender people. So on the February 11th, transgenders should stop bringing hardship onto themselves. They have a hard enough time figuring out life as it is, without having to be the scorn of society, a status they earn for using the opposite sex bathroom and for unfairly competing against the opposite sex in sports. Said that multiple times on February 11th. Transgender people bring discrimination against themselves and they earn it. So if somebody gets beaten up or killed and you're a transgender, hey, you had it coming, according to Louis Marineilli. February 11th, that's what he said. Too many black people on the Supreme Court. This was made on February 2nd. Yes, California statement on the Supreme Court vacancy spurred by the upcoming resignation of Justice Breyer, recalling the president to nominate someone not on the basis of race or sex, but on the basis of ability, etc. Today, Black Americans make up approximately 14% of the population. Placing a second African-American justice on the Supreme Court would overrepresent that segment of our population. So you put 2 black people on the Supreme Court, too many black people. Well, that's way too much representation for black people on the Supreme Court. Louis Marineilli, February 2nd. We didn't say this. This is after he took over. Support for white supremacy. So November 19th and 20th. Yes, California, we are pleased that Kyle Rittenhouse, which judged by a jury of his peers in a court of law and not the radical liberal mob, a not guilty verdict is the only appropriate conclusion. Yes, California, November 19th. November 20th, which is the principal position this campaign takes in applauding the jury finding. 19th, there are some at Yes California who would like to spin the Kyle Rittenhouse trial verdict like a tornado to form pro-Calexic messaging. That's me arguing a non-guilty verdict shows America's broken justice system. It does. So that's him backing up Kyle Rittenhouse and saying him going over there with an attempt to kill Black Lives Matter supporters and getting scot-free is awesome and great, and we support it and applaud it. That's Louis Marineilli, said on November 19th. Then we can go to, he supported the January 6th insurrection on January 6th. Wow. On this January 6th, we remember heroes like Ashley Babbitt, who was killed by the regime, the U.S. Capitol 1 year ago. We also reflect on what could have been. So he's celebrating heroes of January 6th, the insurrection that attempted to overthrow the government through violence. Louis Marineilli, January 6th. He supports Russia's violent annexation of the Ukraine after war crimes were announced by the Russians invading Ukraine. So here on February 21st, the California independence movement under Yes California, with the authority of the Calexic Congress, that is a straight up lie, is still interested in opening a Calexic embassy in the Donetsk People Republic. That is a lie. Recognizes the independence of the separatist regions of eastern Ukraine known as Donetsk and Luhansk by the violent takeover by Russia. That is a lie. Remember, California independence movement has been in contact and maintains relations now with independent Donetsk People's Republic. That is a lie. We did talk to the Donetsk People's Republic years ago before Russia did a violent invasion and after they were in a conflict with Ukraine, and we advised them for an hour on how to have a peaceful and legal resolution and vote without anybody getting hurt. After Russia invaded, we stopped all contact. Lewis went and said, hey, it's great Russia invaded and took over those things through violence. February 21st. He's also a Trump loyalist. Now, he told us that he voted for Trump because he thought Trump would push California to secede, which was true. Apparently, he lied. He was always a Trump loyalist. He said that on January 8th. And then he lies about happened here, January 4th. This is Louis Marineilli, the founder of California Independent. During my sabbatical, California was infested with far left and woke politics. So shortly after my return, I ended that movement. So he's saying, oh, I didn't just leave. I took a sabbatical. And then I came back. This directly contradicts all of this. So I think that's the point we showed. He took control of the pages and he gave up control of the pages. And now he's lying and saying that. He said there's too many black people on the Supreme Court. Transgenders bring discrimination on themselves and they have it coming. January 6th was a good thing. Supporting white supremacists killing BLM rioters or protesters is a good thing. Calexic means California sucks and people need to get out of it to go to an awesome red state. He was always a Trump loyalist and lied to us the entire time. Now, it doesn't end there because people are creatures of habit. And what I want to point out is that in 2011, someone said this. I'm not saying that Marineilli switched sides in service of self-promotion. However, he did launch his own website at an awfully convenient time, just a couple weeks before his highly publicized conversion. Quote, he's been planning a nationwide bus tour with his new group, the National Organization for Marriage Equality. Clever, that. And he's miffed that the HRC has announced that it's running one too. He's implied that the HRC has timed the launch of its bus tour to sabotage his own, and he's even hinted that the HRC has co-opted the name of his bus tour. See a pattern? So Lewis was part of the National Organization for Marriage, which was an anti-gay organization aimed at preventing gay marriage for gay men and lesbians. Then he says, oh, no, I've changed. I don't support that anymore. And I started my own group. And this nasty organization for marriage is confusing everybody with my National Organization for Marriage Equality, which he created after the National Organization for Marriage, trying to confuse the names. And then he's saying, oh, I was doing a bus tour first, not them. So you see how this is going? It's like he left NOM. He left the whole thing, wasn't happy, wanted to get back in the limelight. And so he says, I made my own organization and they're confusing it. And I did my own bus tour and they're confusing it. And here's an LGBTQ person in 2011 saying, you sound like you're lying. You sound like you're a self-serving publicist who does whatever he needs to promote himself. And I got to ask you, when you go to the Yes California Facebook page and the Yes California Twitter page, and he goes, as made by Louis Marineilli, and he has posts saying rightful ownership, doesn't it seem a little bit like this? I'm not saying Marineilli switched sides in service of self-promotion. However, he did launch his own website at an awfully convenient time, just a couple of weeks before his highly publicized conversion. Here's the article. Louis Marineilli, nom-trader, Trojan horse by Sturtle.com in 2011, a pro-LGBTQ site where they're going, yeah, he was with nom and then he turned on them, but is he real or is he all just about himself? Well, Louis turned on Yes California, just like he turned on the National Organization for Marriage. Then he trashed our name, just like he did for the National Organization of Marriage. Then he tried to say that it was really his secret organization the whole time, just like he did with the National Organization for Marriage. And then he lied to everybody about what happened. No, I was making my own org and doing my own bus tour, and they're copying me. You left Yes California, you gave up the thing, and now you're lying to everybody. Again, problem is there's a 10-year history of you doing this, the big trail. Now you've turned on another group. Now you're lying again. You realize that the internet's backing up a huge trail of you lying and tricking people that you will never get out of for the rest of your life. So, wanted to make sure you saw that. The Yes California Twitter and Facebook page have been hacked. They are not under our control. They are under the control of a guy who's under active investigation by the federal government for sowing division in America. And while he's under active investigation by the FBI for sowing division in America, he decides to hack back in our page and say multiple things designed to only piss off Californians, which would be sowing division in America. So while he's being investigated for sowing division in America, he hacks into our page and sows division in America. See how that works? Okay. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the show. Try to keep it fact-based, strictly based upon facts and not opinion. And I think we did a good job. I'll leave it there. See you soon.